Hi, I'm Namrata Singh, and we are here to explore together the concept of that everything dad told you till date is wrong. And in principle, this sounds too good to be true. But before we even dive into this, I want to essentially talk about who I am. You're here because I'm somebody who has who's been born into a very traditional background of coming from a place called Haryana in India. My dad was in the army, so I'm an army kid. I traveled all over India. Studied HR in law and then became an entrepreneur very early on in my life, digital entrepreneur, so shifted gears very quickly. And I've been an entrepreneur since 2008, so almost 17 odd years of doing that. And now I'm an AI first practitioner. I'm a digital native by default. And the reason we are here is I think I'm just really good at dealing with chaos and ambiguity and change and kind of not really falling for the traditional structures that come our way at all times. And the attempt here is to take all this lived reality and the first principles of life as we know it to kind of impart wisdom, which is almost impossible to find in books. And I'm not a huge fan of bookish wisdom. I think there's nothing more important than something that you can live through. And if you can even impart a little bit of it to others so that they don't make the mistakes that you have, and by virtue of that life is a little better, then so be it. So that's the reason why we are doing this. And this is an exploratory process. We will do it in such a way that we'll explore a principle. So it's a 5-part series. And we will explore a base principle. Then we'll go into some examples around it, and we'll have some homework around it. And that'll be the base structure of why we are kind of looking at it. So now we will dive into the first chapter. The first chapter is the fact that seeking familial love and approval is passe. I know this sounds too much, right? We all love our families. We all love the friends, family, the love and the approval that we get from people who love us, and that's natural, right? But why is this passe? Because as a young child, till around the age of 7, it's okay to seek all of that, because that love and care becomes the core of who you are. That gives you a center. So till that time, seeking that love and approval till you find something, some voice, some version of yourself, that's normal. But post that, from the time you're 7 till around 14, you kind of create your own personality. You create your own belief systems, your own map of the world, so to say. And what is happening is I'm essentially talking to people who may be students who are entering their first jobs, or who are digital natives, or who are a little lost, or who are in jobs. It's important to kind of work for something, because when you go into work, a lot of the stuff that has been taught to you as culture actually kind of can be a limiting belief in your life. It can actually non-serve you, and the attempt here is that we kind of don't do that to each other. So seeking love and approval is passe, especially at work. That's the first principle that we will go from. And I think you may kind of disagree with it, because we're so used to looking at authority figures, especially our bosses, very similar to our parents in the beginning. We find somebody we admire and who becomes our boss, and we kind of look up to that person just like we look up to our parents. And it's quite natural to kind of live from wanting their love and approval. But that is the hangover of the industrial era. Henry Ford and the education system and the industrial era, fortunately, is over, and now we're in the age of knowledge. This is the most permissionless era ever. You don't need anyone's approval. You don't need anyone's permission. And as soon as you kind of have that aha moment of realizing, okay, I don't have to seek anyone's permission. Nobody has to be better or worse for me to just hold my own. The comparative universe of love and approval kind of goes out of the window, and this is a very fundamental shift in how you view reality. And it's very easy to kind of see around you. Everybody you admire actually is a little bit of what you call or brand as a black sheep, who don't quite follow the diktats of what they were told to do. They didn't really follow by 20 this, by 25 that, by 30 this, by 40 that. They kind of had their own beat and kind of went with it. And these are the people you actually admire. But do this for yourself has been hard, because so far maybe you didn't have access to knowledge, you didn't have access to tools, you didn't have the resources, you didn't have the peer group, digital, physical, otherwise, which could actually support you to kind of go ahead and do what was needed just to do something of your own. And I am anticipating a world of founders. There is going to be a world where everybody will be some kind of founder from here on. So, having said that, let's take some examples. Let's take examples of people we know, and I'll take famous names, and I'll then maybe also give an example of myself. So look at somebody like Ratan Tata, who very recently expired, and I was very, very sad about it. Somebody like him is born into this really rich, resourceful family. He is an elder son and with lots of responsibility, but he never really married. He never really kind of followed the rich guy's template, the one with the trust fund, etc. He went and worked his ass off for whatever came his way, and he's considered this largely a nice, humble guy who built an empire while he was at it. And there is a certain value system that he embodies that is aspirational for an entire country, which is even better than what the rishis and the scriptures taught us, and a very hard act to follow in terms of just humility. And in terms of creation, which is quieter. So this is not the era of tom-tomming who you are, etc. He didn't go there and tell you what he's done in life. He just went and did it, and you can see the impact of that across years, across lives, etc. And it's a very it's a legacy of generational legacy, but not lived in the most traditional format. So that's like one such example. Everybody's favorites are the Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, which are very, very simple examples of this is what the world expected out of you, but you did none of it, and look where you are, right? But there are a lot more examples now coming up of people who are neurodivergent, who are on the spectrum, who are not like you and me, who don't have this traditional script. They may be not even capable of following this traditional script. Their emotional map is very different. Their psychological map is very different. And these are people who, for example, Sam Altman, the OpenAI CEO, he's considered to be on the spectrum. And look at what he's built. He sat there and said, I will not create a product for the rich people, I'll create a product for the masses, and I will give knowledge in the hand of everybody. And this is very similar to Tim Berners-Lee deciding that I will open up the internet and it will not just be belonging to the army, the US Army, right? So this open world that we're now kind of being part of has come out of a brain which does not believe in boundaries, and that couldn't have happened had he just listen to his parents' traditional advice. And this is not the fault of anything. This is a generational shift. We have moved away from industrial era to the era of knowledge. And knowledge, what will matter is your unique insight, is your weird data sets, it's your unique worldview, it's your taste, and you'll have to develop it by doing. There is no other way. The limiting belief of just because I've read it, I can do it, is not true. The intellectual is everybody. So how do you kind of move beyond logic and intellect? That's the quest, and that's very, very hard quest to kind of follow. And if I look at my own example, I mean, I think I've kind of not done anything I was told. Did not marry, did not have children, did not follow a traditional career path. Actually, I'm very, very loyal to ideas that I believe in. I do believe that we were not here, we were not born just for us and our four people. I think we do have contribution to be given to the larger society, and whatever it takes. And I do get stuck in that duty more than I get stuck in the duty of the four people. And thankfully, life has been such that a lot of this dutiness for four people has been easier for me now, especially. But even earlier, when it was not easy, I kind of had a beat where I could do my own thing, which is why I think for my entire very traditional family tree, I am a little bit of a black sheep. But I mean, I think today that's a path that a lot of the kids in my family are following, and they're like, okay, if she can do it, and I can do it, and that's not a bad path to have. And of course, there is a cost to pay for it, but I think, like I said, everybody will get onto a founder's path. So let's, why is this important to not follow for love approval, whether it's work, whether it's relationship, whether it's in life in general? Because all love and approval forces you to kind of confront your limiting beliefs. For example, if your boss only loves you because you deliver on time and consistently, then what he is essentially doing is he's making sure that he has a mini me, but your innovation may not be awarded that much, because innovation is by default, by definition, something that'll question status quo. And if the current systems are not built for questioning status quo, then you'll come across as a little bit of a rebel, and that might not earn you love and approval. But actually, the whole if we go back in history and learn anything from 1929 till now, a world depression happened, and an entire generation of people kind of came on the road. But today there's another shift of ages happening, but you don't have to come on the road, you maybe have to go behind the keyboard. Because what if there is no traditional job, what if there is no traditional education system, what if there is no traditional job systems, and everything that you've been told, everything your dad told you is wrong, has to be re-looked at. So everything that you consider status quo, which is equal to a limiting belief in a new era or a new age, you have no choice but to kind of break it, and that is hard. That is hard. So how do you kind of do this? I think it's a muscle, just like any other muscle. Just like you exercise and do yoga, and you do mental exercises to keep your brain sharp, or you do emotional distress tolerance exercises to, like CBT, etc., to keep yourself emotionally stronger. Similarly, I think you have to make yourself very, very comfortable with chaos and ambiguity and criticism of brickbats. The moment you go out there and kind of put yourself out there saying, I'm going to be a founder, there's an entire world, especially from your world, who will come and say, hey, you can't do it. You can't do it. You must go and find a government job. You must go find something secure. You must go get married and have children, because, hey, body clock. Who will marry you if you don't look X way or Y way or whatever, right? So all of these things are limiting beliefs that family systems or traditional systems that we are born into, or whatever system you're born into, whichever system you're born into, and whichever value you carry forward without questioning it for yourself. I'm not saying that the values that are given to you are good or bad. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with love and approval. But question it with your own wisdom. Question it for yourself, because when you look closely, you realize that you're nothing like your parents and the families that you're born into. Because we, like the past generation, have a lot of cognitive building up and of our brains and of our psyche, because there's a lot more information coming our way. So unlike our parents, who maybe just married once, had 2 or 3 jobs in their entire lives, had a very, very strong family systems, we are not that, right? We will travel across the world, we may have few relationships, we may change many, many jobs, and we may moonlight on the side, we may have a company on the side, etc. This is a very different worldview than what we're used to. We may not marry, have non-traditional families, adopt a lot more, be cat dog parents, go in and out of relationships if they don't serve us, or decide to not be in a relationship at all and just to have a very good relationship with yourself. All of this are non-traditional status quo questioning systems. We may also, I mean, we are hearing a lot more about employees coming into an organization and maybe leaving within the first week, or the dating trends are in the office, right? So they're ghosting their boss. They are just kind of swiping in and putting in the cloud, but not really doing the work. All of these other things are they quiet quitting. They are not quiet about why they're leaving, so they are publicly putting it out there as to why they have left an organization. All of these are not the behaviors that our parents said are good, because they said, hey, there's a long-term reputation, etc. But I think there's a day-to-day being truthful to your own psyche, because the cost of not being truthful to your psyche is so high that you have no choice but to kind of stay true to yourself. And being true to yourself means seeking your own love and approval, which means you have to redefine what love is, what approval is. Anything that does not, which creates incoherence in your own system, whether it's your head, heart, or your gut, that is being disloyal to yourself. And I think the sooner you learn not to do that, a lot of the scarring that happens along the way while you learn life, and we all take some time to learn life, the idea is to scar less so that you can create more and be more, because nobody has to go through just your own mistakes to learn. You can sometimes learn from other people's mistakes, but life will throw the same kind of lessons to all of us, right? Like the 4 Ds will happen to all of us, which is death, divorce, depression, and disease. And as long as we learn to deal with it as quickly as possible, as early on as possible, in a healthy way, I think the better it is. Otherwise, there's dissonance to your psyche that will create coping mechanisms and behaviors which you will have to deal with. You kind of come to some healthy resolution of some sort. So, what is the homework for this week? So, whatever your dad told you may not be true anymore, and seeking love and approval is passe, no matter what stage of life you're in, post 14 years of age, even I think till 7, maybe even after that, if you stop seeking love and approval, it's not a bad thing. You need to have a stronger core. What I wanted to do this week essentially is, for the whole week, just sit and write down what are you doing because you want to do it versus what somebody else wanted you to do it, especially family systems, bosses, authority figures, etc. And are you doing it because it serves you, or is it something that there's just attention, love, approval, something from the outside that you're seeking, and you're so empty or you're so hungry for love that no matter where it comes from and no matter what the cost of that is, you're willing to kind of go with it. So if you could kind of just do this exercise, I think that'll be the first lesson. Thank you for your time. This is Namrata Singh, and I'll see you in the next chapter of What Papa Told You May Not Be Right.